Hello everyone, welcome to History and Culture. In July of the 26th year of Emperor Guangxu's reign, 1900, the Eight-Nation Alliance arrived at the gates of Beijing. The tranquility of the Forbidden City was shattered by the sound of cannons. And the once magnificent Imperial palace was now enveloped in fear. Faced with foreign invasion and political turmoil, the supreme ruler of the Qing dynasty, Empress Dowager Cixi, once again faced the decision to flee the palace. However, before her departure, she made a decisive move that would ultimately become one of the most tragic moments in late Qing history. She ordered the execution of Emperor Guangxu's favorite concubine, consort Zhen. This event not only revealed the power struggle between Cixi and Emperor Guangxu, but also reflected the complex relationships among key figures in the political landscape of the late Qing dynasty. Empress Dowager Cixi was the most influential woman of the late Qing period, holding power as a regent for decades. After the death of Emperor Qianlong, she consolidated her position through a series of political maneuvers and strategies. Although Emperor Guangxu was the nominal ruler, most of the actual power remained in Cixi's hands for the majority of the time. Emperor Guangxu attempted to assert his independence through reforms, but these efforts were ultimately thwarted by Cixi. During the reign of Emperor Qianlong, the Qing court had faced a similar foreign invasion. In 1856, the Second Opium War broke out, and the British and French forces advanced all the way to Beijing, forcing Emperor Qianlong to flee to Rihe for refuge. This experience left a deep impression on Empress Dowager Cixi, making her realize the importance of taking decisive action in times of crisis. It was after Emperor Qianlong's death that Cixi seized the opportunity to gain control of the Qing government through regency behind a curtain, laying the foundation for her future rule and establishing herself as one of the most influential rulers of the Qing dynasty. According to some historians, the relationship between Emperor Guangxu and Empress Dowager Cixi was both complex and contradictory. Emperor Guangxu ascended to the throne at a young age and remained under Cixi's control until he reached adulthood, when he gradually began to develop his own political consciousness. Particularly during the 100 Days Reform, Emperor Guangxu sought to use reform to rescue the Qing dynasty from internal and external crises. And consort Zhen was his most steadfast political supporter. Consort Zhen was not only Emperor Guangxu's beloved consort, but also an important figure in supporting the reforms. She had progressive ideas and actively encouraged Emperor Guangxu's efforts to strengthen the nation. She even recommended reformist figures to the emperor on several occasions, urging him to carry out reforms. Her actions undoubtedly made her a significant threat in the eyes of Empress Dowager Cixi. Public records show that in 1898, during the 24th year of Emperor Guangxu's reign, he initiated the 100 Days Reform, aiming to save the Qing dynasty through a series of political, economic, military, and cultural reforms. However, these reforms quickly triggered strong opposition from conservative forces, and Empress Dowager Cixi felt her power was under threat. Following the coup that ended the reform, the attempt failed, and Emperor Guangxu was imprisoned at Yingtai, while the reformists faced severe suppression. Throughout Emperor Guangxu's reform efforts, consort Zhen played an active role. She not only supported the emperor's reforms but also introduced several reformist figures to him, encouraging him to strengthen his imperial authority. This approach directly alarmed Empress Dowager Cixi, as she understood that if Emperor Guangxu successfully consolidated his power, her political influence would be jeopardized. Consequently, after the failure of the 100 Days Reform, Empress Dowager Cixi not only suppressed the reformists but also targeted consort Zhen. It is worth noting that consort Zhen's cheerful personality and curiosity about new ideas made her a unique figure in the imperial harem. She actively participated in Emperor Guangxu's political affairs and showed great interest in Western culture and innovations, which made her stand out in the conservative Qin court. Her bold actions and modern ideas led Empress Dowager Cixi to view her as a potential danger within the palace.
At the time when the Eight-Nation Alliance marched into Beijing, Empress Dowager Cixi decided to flee once again. Unlike Emperor Xianfeng's previous escape, this time before leaving the capital, Cixi decided to completely eliminate consort Zhen. Some historians comment that Cixi's decision to kill her stemmed from multiple considerations. Not only did the close relationship between consort Zhen and Emperor Guangxu make Cixi feel threatened, but consort Zhen's political stance and interference in state affairs were also intolerable to her. According to historical records, consort Zhen confronted Cixi before her death. At that time, Cixi persuaded consort Zhen to take her own life, claiming it was to avoid being humiliated when the foreign invaders entered the city. On the surface, this argument seemed to be out of concern for consort Zhen, but the real intent was to use the situation to get rid of her. However, consort Zhen was not swayed by Cixi. Instead, she argued that Emperor Guangxu should remain in the capital to maintain order. These words undoubtedly struck Cixi's most sensitive nerve. She feared that Emperor Guangxu might regain power and control over the political situation. Consort Zhen's final resistance also showed her clear awareness of her own fate. She firmly stated that she was innocent and should not be a victim of political struggles. Nonetheless, Empress Dowager Cixi had already made up her mind. No matter how consort Zhen defended herself, she could not escape her doom. In the end, Cixi ordered eunuch Cui Yugue to push consort Zhen into a well, ending her life. Some professional historical media also commented that Cixi's motives for executing consort Zhen were complex. Firstly, consort Zhen's support for Emperor Guangxu directly threatened Cixi's authority. After the failure of the 100 Days reform, Cixi needed to ensure that Emperor Guangxu would not regain power. And consort Zhen's presence clearly provided emotional and political support to him, prompting Cixi to take extreme measures. Secondly, consort Zhen's personality and behavior made Cixi uneasy. Consort Zhen lived lavishly and enjoyed pursuing novelty, which contradicted the conservative traditions of the imperial court. Cixi believed her actions violated the ancestral rules that forbade the imperial consorts from interfering in politics. Additionally, personal grievances between Cixi and consort Zhen escalated the situation. It is said that Cixi had once caned the pregnant consort Zhen for meddling in state affairs, causing her to miscarry, a tragedy that solidified their mutual hatred. Consort Zhen's death was not only a reflection of the late Qing dynasty's court intrigues but also an extreme manifestation of the power struggle between Emperor Guangxu and Cixi. In order to maintain her authority, Cixi did not hesitate to target the emperor's favored consort, highlighting her extreme desire for power and determination to prevent anyone from encroaching on her control. Consort Zhen's death became one of the great tragedies of late Qing history, revealing the Qing court's corruption, incompetence, and resistance to the outside world in the midst of this power struggle. Some historians note that after ordering consort Zhen's death, Cixi felt a trace of guilt. Historical records indicate that after returning to Beijing, Cixi posthumously elevated consort Zhen to the rank of noble consort and arranged for her to be buried with honor. This may have been an attempt to find some psychological solace for her actions. Cixi was well aware that her actions would leave her with a legacy of infamy, so she likely hoped that this gesture might ease her sense of guilt. However, Cixi's compensation for consort Zhen was not enough to change history's judgment of her. The death of consort Zhen marked a serious fracture within the ruling group of the late Qing dynasty and the extremism of its power struggles. In her efforts to maintain control over the regime, Cixi sacrificed others' lives, intensifying the internal conflicts within the Qing court and further destabilizing the government in an already precarious time. This is the History and Culture channel. Liking and subscribing are the greatest help and support to us. Thank you everyone, and see you in the next time.